Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, here we are, the 46th month of the year 2020.
But it's only May.
Really? How strange. It's almost like so much has happened this year that reaching the end will be a blessing. Since there's another projected 97 months this year and we're still in lockdown, hopefully I can at least bring one saga to an end. How's it going, everyone? I'm Hatman, I'm the Devil's Own. I'm sorry for the delay in bringing forward the latest cunt of the month, but it seems the constant exposure to the poisonous environment of the Swamp Thing, known as Andy Velasco, finally took its toll on my mortal vessel. That, or the takeout order at the weekend tried to take me out instead. Either way, I'm not dead. Sorry to disappoint some of you. And I note that in my brief absence, some people who could aid the world by ceasing the act of breathing continue to steal valuable oxygen. One always has hope. Andrew, or Andy as we know him, Velasco, whose stench has been wafting across the internet for several months, has earlier this week been made somewhat more infamous after a brief series of videos he put on YouTube. The nature of those videos was basically him either abusing or threatening to abuse his dog, a little Chihuahua type breed that looks like it's thoroughly sick of its life. It's not surprising really, because while the rest of us can log off the internet, power down our devices and leave Andy behind, the poor dog doesn't have that choice. It's trapped in the clutches of a barely sentient, fetid bog monster that not only wallows in the misery it wants to cause others, but appears to actually be assisted by a member of its own family.
I have this knife. If somebody kisses my dog, I will stab them with this knife. Okay, so this is a warning to my haters. This is the last straw, or I'll kill this puppy.
Several questions about Andy's existence and how he gets away with his behavior seem to have been answered, if not with absolute certainty, then at least with reasonable accuracy. So Andy was already in contention for, and probably would have won anyway, Cunt of the Month before the events of last weekend. So I'm going to address this in two blocks, starting with the most recent one, where we've been quite busy the last few days. So what happened was, over the period of about 3 days, Andy has uploaded nearly a dozen different videos to YouTube of him either threatening, implying he was hurting, or actively abusing his dog. Every single one of these was reported by multiple people to YouTube, and I listed 9 of them with links and downloaded copies of the video to Twitter, tagging @TeamYouTube, not so much as a peep from them. But anyway, since YouTube were either slow to act or basically can't be asked to act, I mean frankly either is plausible, other people in the community have taken some steps. Dr. Yoshi, Professor Curious have used their channels to produce videos dedicated to Andy's recent behavior, with the good doctor producing, to devastating effect, a promotional type video that he distributed through social media to various animal groups and charities, one of which took it up. And that has been posted on their Facebook page and Instagram, and at this point in time has been seen by about 100,000 people, with several thousand very angry responses to Andy's behavior. The professor added a further hammer blow by taking those details and producing a couple of videos which very nicely expand on exactly what Andy was up to and conveying the outrage that people had towards him. At this point, I'm only mentioning those who have channels who have been publicly involved in this. There are a few others who've been working behind the scenes and in contact with authorities directly, but they aren't public individuals, they don't have channels, they're not on YouTube except as viewers, so it's not my call to turn the spotlight on them. Of course, I'm happy to highlight their work and dedication on this. They know who they are, I know who they are, the professor, the doctor knows who they are. So I'm going to put a comment pinned below, and if they want to say anything in that, then I'm sure a lot of people would very happily applaud them for what they've been doing. Andy's recent videos were pretty self-explanatory, starting out with threatening his dog as a means of revenge against his haters, to then poking and stabbing at his dog with a fork, hitting his dog, to musing whether or not he should kill his dog while brandishing a carving knife, to actively threatening to kill his dog if anybody tried to take it, again brandishing the knife, and hitting the dog some more. He also tried to pee on his dog, but did add a disclaimer in the video description at least to make it clear that he had cropped the footage of his peanut from the video. And if we're talking about actual peanuts, the size comparison is probably about accurate. Oh yes, because he's posted selfies of himself to Discord previously, along with the dog pressed against him. Glorious sight that was not. Not to mention a dozen or so genital selfies to Twitter, but we'll come to that later. He also posted something alleging that he'd accidentally made his puppy bleed, though given it's a single image, it's questionable. He did explain the comment how it happened, assuming he was telling the truth, and if he was lying, then he went to some lengths to try and embellish a fantasy about wounding his dog. And to drive it home, he does a video pinching his dog to the point it squeals. So if there was any doubt of what he's doing or was prepared to do to get a reaction, the yelp of pain from that dog should make it clear it's not fake, at least not anymore. Of course, it's not the first time he's done something like this either, because a few months ago he reacted to another YouTuber, Kaz Warfox, by uploading an audio of him threatening to hit his dog. That audio then concluded with him shuffling across the floor or something, and the pained yelp of that dog.
You want to hear something fucking funny? You want to hear fucking funny? I'm going to fucking be my cat. I'm going to be my dog, baby heart. That's you think that's funny? I will do this. I don't care anymore if I kill my dog or anything. You want to hear something?
Warning.
He also confessed to raping and molesting his dog.
Yeah, fuck my dog. And I don't fucking regret it. I don't fucking regret it, to be honest. Like, I don't fucking regret it. I did. So what? I did fuck my dog because my fetish. And I did. So what?
So this isn't some one-off thirst for attention for him. He's just simply a sick, nasty little cunt. Now, disability or not, and yes, he does have muscular dystrophy, he has the desire and urges and apparently zero remorse for his actions. And that may be because it's now become obvious that people in his family are helping him with some of these behaviors, and certainly shielding him from the consequences of it.
Okay, so this is a warning to my haters. This is the last straw or I'll kill this puppy.
While the vast majority of Andy's videos have been filmed by himself, there's always been questions over how much his family knew. That seems to have been answered now, as one of those recent clips was clearly filmed by someone else while he held the knife and also while he hit the dog. He was also defended by his mother on Facebook, saying that he's only 14 and again using the disability as an excuse, and also that he has mental problems, as if we needed that confirmed. That he has a physical disability is not in question. We've seen it, but he has enough control over his upper limbs to use his phone frequently, to handle knives, to hold and to pet and beat a dog. And he was able to try and piss on his dog, so we can presume he has some limited ability to walk, maybe with the aid of a frame, or possibly was he assisted by his family with that? Were they holding him up while he did this? In some ways it's understandable that a family would want to protect their own, even if it means lying. However, there's protection and then there's facilitating bad behavior. And it seems clear now that Andy's family are engaging in the latter because someone is assisting him with what he's doing. Whether it's helping him in his live streams, or handing him sharp knives, or filming him hitting his dog, or lying about him and his age, saying his condition is worse than it potentially is, makes him seem less capable than he obviously is. For instance, take his mother's comment that he's only 14. Now that in itself seems unusual, given that we know Andy has lied about his age at least once, because he's claimed he was 21 or 22 in the past, but when challenged on his behavior, he plays the victim and says he's 15. As if that's an excuse. He also did trip himself up once by saying he was 8 in 2007, but then correcting himself within seconds to say actually he was born in 2004. So he's not really thought that through very well. But then his mother comes out saying he's 14, which is completely new to us, and a bit out of left field, considering Andy's claim of 15 actually seems more plausible. Assuming he did tell the truth that he was born in 2004, that would make him 15, turning 16 sometime this year. and judging from a photo that was unearthed in one of his family members' Facebook accounts, it showed what appeared to be his 8th birthday in 2012. So we can probably put to rest the question of Andy's age, and that he is in fact 15, maybe 16, depending on his actual birth date, but 14, no. Or at least not without further evidence, and certainly something stronger than the word of someone who is supposed to be grounding Andy following a visit from the police. Yet he's still posting constantly to YouTube arguing for animal abuse, not least of which being to post a video of Peluchin Entertainment, who became notorious a few years ago for stamping on and beating his cat so badly it had to be euthanized. That's Andy's hero, by the way, another animal torturing cunt, who took the Cunt of the Month award from January 2019. But the net is steadily closing around Andy, as one of the benefits of his newfound notoriety is that people who were aware of his behavior and removed themselves from his presence previously are now seeing that his actions are ongoing. Associates of the family, nearby residents, neighbors, former friends who can prove that they know him have added their own stories. Out of respect to them, as well as some of the new information, I won't say more at this point, but suffice to say, Andy, if you're watching, we're learning more about you all the time, and it confirms what we already knew, Andy. You're a lying, manipulative, psychotic cunt. As for why he was already in contention for Cunt of the Month before all of this kicked off with the dog, let's turn to Twitter. Now, all the events of the last few days nearly detract from why Andy was going to be a prominent candidate for Cunt of the Month anyway. It's been mentioned previously by myself and several other YouTubers that Andy has demonstrated some quite predatory behavior when it comes to teenagers and some preteens, which is ironic considering that it's now all but confirmed Andy is in his mid-teens himself. So I guess he's just been possessed by the spirit of Doofus Khan, the keyboard warrior. And he decided to latch onto a group of kid gamer trolls, I guess, who were getting their kicks from trolling some of the Roblox community, and in particular fans of Lizzie Winkle. I don't know much about Roblox, other than it looks crap, and my kid plays it. I didn't know who Lizzie Winkle was, but I gather for some reason she seems to have attracted a whole bunch of twisted, mentally fucked up shitstains who probably would have benefited the planet much more had their mothers given their dads a blowjob that time. Or perhaps done a splits on a coat hanger after getting the results of the pregnancy test. Andy and his little freak show of 13-year-olds or whatever have decided to have themselves a merry old time making paedophilic and necrophiliac rape threats against a 15-year-old girl who died from leukemia. Andy's grasp of intelligence is so strong that he can rationalize his behavior by saying it's an opinion and it's dark humor. True dark humor is the fact that, Mother Nature is still blighting this planet with Andy's presence. But the argument that it's his opinion giving him justification, just because you have an opinion doesn't mean it should be shared, and free speech does not mean free from consequences. But what isn't shown in the tweets, because frankly I don't want that shit polluting my hardware, were the almost dozen messages he sent over a few minutes where he spammed pictures of his peanut in reply to everyone he commented to, some of whom made it very clear that they were under 13. Even Andy's little apprentice Evan has said repeatedly that he was 13 but was laughing away. So, congratulations Andy on basically distributing indecent images to minors. Needless to say, after a bit of reporting, Twitter did, within a few minutes, do what YouTube has failed to do despite months of reporting, and nuke his account. So, yay. So Andrew Velasco, I don't give a shit if you're 15, 16, 21, 22, for sure you're not 14 like mama claims, but you're old enough to know right from wrong and that you do wrong anyway. You're a nasty, selfish, vicious little predator, but at least you're somewhat caged by your own body. Nevertheless, you still qualify for and are a very worthy Cunt of the Month.
He's a cunt. He's a cunt. He's a C-U-N-T cunt. With his broken teeth and his ugly face, he's a male dick teaser that's out of place. He'd sleep with your granny, he'd bite their fanny, wears his trousers back to front, and he farts, sucks cocks, and he's riddled with pox. But basically, well, he's a cunt.
And there we have it, Andy, once again, still floating around with all the subtlety of a turd in a wedding punch bowl. The real blessing, at least, is that Andy's activities are limited to the internet only, at least where he's not enabled in real life. His family have clearly enabled his abuse of the dog and continue to enable his online antics by refusing to take away his phone. It seems pretty clear now that he is 15, as he claims, despite what his mother says, and that makes him his parents' responsibility. And they are abjectly failing in that responsibility. As a parent, I know kids can be willful and do their own thing behind your back as they push the limits. But Andy isn't doing it just because he wants to push the envelope. He's doing it because he can. He can get away with it and knows that no one is going to stop him, at least not in that household. The whole situation is now going beyond the need for animal welfare to investigate and take away a dog that is being physically and quite likely sexually abused by a very disturbed creature. And child services also, in my opinion, clearly need to be involved as well. Andy has made countless threats to many people online who are younger than himself, and with some of the information that's been brought up recently, he may also have attracted the attention from the police for threats made in another capacity. I can't say more on that at the moment, save that it was something we'd not heard of before, but may be very credible given the source. The bottom line is that whether he's mobile or confined to a bed, Andy is a predator. If he were physically capable, I've little doubt he'll be a very real risk. As it is, a lot of emotionally vulnerable people and children are regularly online, and he has chosen to make that his hunting grounds, ingratiating himself into Discord servers and gaming communities. Andy's pattern is he pretends to be nice and pass himself off as a harmless, innocent, maybe a little bit slow teenager, but then he'll quickly degenerate into threats and attempts to coerce people into doing what he wants. Now, his options for those threats are limited and mainly just involve attempts to expose people. However, his exposés are often basic IP harvested data that isn't particularly revealing, or partial screenshots that he takes and shows out of context, or alternatively a voiceover on a black screen or a shitty piece of MS Paint art and just saying what he wants to say and expecting everybody to believe it as if it's gospel. Basically, it's not. He might think it is, following his interactions with the equally delusional Stetson Hardwick, but evidence is not a concept that Stetson believes in, and nor does Andy now. He thinks he doesn't need it or will fabricate it if he's able to, but when actual, genuine evidence is provided against him, he tries to just dismiss it as fake news. And perhaps he can sell that story in his own home. A nice, safe little space where he's protected by his family, who probably let him do whatever he wants so he doesn't cry and scream. And let's face it, you've heard him speak. Can you imagine that voice shouting and screaming? It would probably be a little bit annoying. In any event, and in my opinion, Andy needs to be thoroughly investigated, not just by animal welfare services because of what he's allegedly done to that dog and perhaps other animals as well, but the whole family as a unit needs to be thoroughly investigated by child welfare and perhaps the police. There cannot be any question that some of what he has done must be illegal, and of course if he's done that while he's 15 and he continues to be facilitated in doing that by his family, who are not chastising him, who are not disciplining him, who are not cutting off the source of his abuse, well, frankly, I don't have any sympathy for them. They're every bit as guilty as him, maybe not to the same extreme in terms of actions, but certainly as accomplices. This story will no doubt keep rumbling on. I'm sick to death of Andy. If he dropped off the face of the planet, that would be a blessing. It's not likely to happen, but, you know, we have hope. So, as far as Andy's concerned, I would like to draw a line and not reference him again in any particular videos unless there's a major update on him. I'm sure he'll crop up in my live streams on Friday nights. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, not necessarily the subject material, but the video itself. And we'll favor it with a thumbs up down there. If you don't, I mean, you can hit the thumbs down. I really don't care. Obviously, comment below your opinions. If you've got any information about Andy, then please do comment that, or you can tweet me at Devil's Own Hatman on Twitter, because, like I say, we've got some people who are in communication with the authorities, and as they say, every little helps. So that's it. Thank you once again. I'm Hatman, the Devil's Own. Ave Satanas.